Yeah, I like the word to try and establish honesty
Yeah,
with them and get them to see that. But the foundation at the moment, when you just throw out a question, they say, I'm all right, I'm happy, I've got a job, or I've got a company, and
mm,
we have our ups and downs, and we're doing okay, and that's why I'm alive. Is I've got
mm,
to just maintain myself and my
mm.
family, and that's it. And they don't think anything further than that. And that's the 80%.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
And that's the light that we need to be shining on that space, because it's not. It's not. It's not the truth. It's an absolute myth.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, And when do you think they would become realizing, let's say the 80%, that it's actually there is another truth to what they believe is truth, which I've just described, is probably when they're in pain, or they're suffering, or they've gone bankrupt, or
Mm.
um,
All of those things, and also just the
mm,
realization, and this is this sort of, oh, I'm living in hope, that I'll make it one day, that
mm,
I'll get to that top of that ladder, or I'll win the lottery, or it's all false hope. It's all false
yeah,
hope, because the reality is on this planet, that there's the 1% of the 1% that are making all the decisions, and you're never going to be
yeah,
part of it. Never going to be part of it, So,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and
Um,
even that 1% of the 1%. I've heard people talking about it. There was an interview I watched there the other day. It was fascinating. It was like a little sort of mini documentary. And there was this guy, and he said he was invited to go and speak at, the future of it, like a future of technology conference. And he said he was expecting to go there and talk to like a room full of technology executives or whatever. And he said he got there, and basically he was just ushered into this little room, and like five or six like billionaire tech company owners came and sat around him and said, so when's the doomsday going to happen? Like, when's the apocalypse going to occur? And he's sitting there thinking to himself, well, I'm talking to you guys about the future of technology. You guys own the technology in the world and
yeah,
determine its future, and you're asking me, what you can do when the end of the world comes. Well, like, don't you think you're on the wrong tram then? Like, like
yeah,
if the technology that you guys are own and fostering and promoting and inculcating out there in the world, and you think the end result is going to be the apocalypse, then like, how's this working? Yeah, like, you know,
yeah. Interesting. Interesting.
fundamentally, you've got to be on the wrong track.
Yeah,
Like, and they were posing questions like, oh, like when we have our security teams around us, how will we know that we can trust them? And interestingly, his answer to it was, well, if you start treating them like humans now and come from a basis of love and compassion and those sorts of things, then it's going to be a different world. But if you're coming from a position of, I've got my stack of money, how do I protect it? And when the
yeah.
apocalypse comes, it's meaningless anyway. You know, you're on the highway to hell. You know.
Right, right.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay. Interesting interview that. Eh? That would have
Mm.
been very interesting to listen to. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But I think
Okay.
it's true though.
Maybe.
I think it's true because when you think about the actions of the black hats and that, it's all about controlling and keeping their wealth to themselves and growing their wealth, and even though it's artificial, but you just sort of say, for what end?
And manipulation, like
Yeah,
second to none. What we're seeing right now in 2020, the manipulation
yeah,
of the black hats, it's just pathetic. I mean,
yeah,
they have got to win the American elections in November more than anything. For their mere survival, they've got to
yeah,
win. So in order to win, they are manipulating amazing things. I
Yeah.
mean, I saw a news headline yesterday that a squirrel in Colorado had been detected with bubonic plague. Okay, okay. The week before in China, they had discovered bubonic plague.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I mean, what the hell,
Yeah.
scares that? They've obviously got the the plague in a bottle and they can spread it, and
Yeah. Yeah.
they will be fulfilling their own goals if they kill half of America.
Yeah.
So we're in at the tip now of. I thought it couldn't get any worse, but clearly now we can see that it can get a lot worse.
Almost
So
to the extent in America, like with the coronavirus, it's almost as if they've just thrown their hands up in despair, isn't it? It's just like we give up. Like we can't stop it, we can't control it. Everyone's going to get it. So.
Yeah, but the point is that whether everybody gets it or not, as Donald Trump knows, what you look at is the deaths, not the number of people who've contracted it in any country.
Yeah,
okay,
that's right.
So and he can see that. Okay, but the more they bring it, I mean, they clearly are people somehow artificially spreading the things. Okay, there's no doubt. Okay,
there's no doubt about it. No doubt.
Yeah.
About it.
So and somehow Trump has still been powerfully representing the white hats in a sense. Okay, and he talks about the silent majority, and I hope to God there is a silent majority that's going to vote him back into power, because then we'll see the end of the black hats, because then he will have no mercy in pulling them all out. I mean, a lot have been pulled out, a lot have been put on trial already. But they've been people who are not right up there in the political front. They've been powerful, rich people, but they haven't got to Bill Gates yet. No. So you get the average, Mr. Average, let's say, like you and I, and they are going through, and we are going through, also a thinking process, a traumatic process that is not. I guess the fear comes from an international pressure of the coronavirus, and now they're bringing in, some other plague that took a massive percentage of the world population back more than 100 years ago. So, we get scared, listening to that perhaps. And what's the answer? The answer is that this is just a tiny school built into eternity. And so, we just need to keep focusing on eternity, and knowing about eternity, then behave ourselves accordingly in this school.
Yep, very much so. Very much so. So it's going to be an interesting journey for us, I think. I really do. Because, if we're fortunate enough to sort of light a few fires and start to get a following and get a mainstream conversation happening, and then we'll probably find ourselves under a bit of attack. But anyway, that's by the by.
I don't know if we're capable of starting a fire.
Well, who knows? I mean, if you keep on flicking matches into the grass, who knows? So.
I like your analogy.
Who knows?
Fair enough. Yeah.